the phrase that I really liked that you mentioned now, sort of 30 minutes ago, sorry, I scribbled this down, is that once you tried PV, you never looked back. And that was in a viticultural sense, but maybe it was in a wine making, wine tasting sense as well. Could you explain what you mean by once I did PV, I never looked back? What were the factors that led to that quite big statement?
I think there are two things with it. One is definitely the wine growing side. I have a good friend, very good friend, who is about 13 minutes away from me, sort of 30 kilometers, and he's a very good organic wine grower. But he had mainly classical wine varieties, which is good. They are very good anyway. But he's got the problem as an organic winemaker to go through his vineyard with plant protection activities about 16 times. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I with my PVs have this between 2 and maximum 5 or 6, yeah, depending on the condition of the weather condition of the year. So that's definitely one thing where I thought, well, wow, why should I need that, you know? And the other thing is because I'm not a big winemaker, we do a lot of hand things. Obviously, we don't have a tractor. So the PVs are absolutely the gold for us, really, because there's nothing else which could stand weather conditions like we have here in southern Austria. So this is one side, and the other one is I try to be, and I know this is another question, and maybe it would be another kind of interview. Yeah, I'm a natural winemaker mainly. Try to be very dogmatic and didn't do anything else. Meanwhile, I'm sort of a little bit, I have to say, I'm a little bit sort of easygoing on that, but I have still natural wine where I don't intervene, nothing, not even sulfite when I fill the bottle. And this is very kind of I have, for example, a Cabernet Jura red wine, and when I filled it, one of my friends said, "Yeah, you put some sulfite in it, don't you?" And I said, why should I do it? Really, should I? Why should I do it? And I didn't do it, and I'm so happy that I didn't do it because this wine is quite nice, quite really, really good, and I mean, like PVs, they have a lot of tannins, and sometimes this tannin is an advantage. So you don't need to have that so much sulfite in the wine process, in the winemaking process. So this is something which I do a lot, and as you, I do a lot of maceration on the skin. I work with normally 3 weeks, where I have I do it a smelling. When I smell the fruit, or not the fruit anymore, then I press it, and it comes into an amphora. I'm working with Italian amphora from Imprometa. And this orange wine is then 1 year in the amphora, and then I put it into a used barrel. So this process is about 2 years, and somehow, I don't know, we just had a tasting recently in my wine cellar. It's not a really wine cellar, it's more I don't want to call it garage, but it's quite a small thing. Yeah, 2 hectares.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the huge cellar you see anyway in the big wineries. And somebody was saying, you do it with the Muscaris. This is your wine, isn't it? And I said, yes, it is. And my orange wines are mainly Muscaris, and I'm quite happy with this variety because it's so easy in the wine making process and growing process. It's amazing. It's amazing what this wine grape can do. So yeah, I'm in love with Muscaris. Although some people don't like Muscat, the Muscat taste, which is and I must accept. I've got obviously other wines as well, but this is my kind of orange and natural, and I've just a natural wine at the moment in the barrel, which I think is the best I have ever made. I haven't filled it yet. And I was just yesterday coming back from this.
My mouth is watering, Christian. I need to taste this wine.
I said to my wife, darling, please, and she helps me a lot in the vineyard. She's absolutely great. She's actually English, and I said to her, "This is absolutely yeah," and we call it a Wahnsinn. So I don't want to make it great, but it's just, this is the thing why it makes me so happy working with PVs, and And the other thing is, in Carinthia, where you have a new wine region, do you want another Sauvignon Blanc? Do you want another Chardonnay? Do you want another Zweig? Why would you do this? Why? I really asked me that at the beginning, and I answered it no. And I still can't understand people who doing this, making new vineyards and have still classical wine varieties, because this is much more sort of this, stepping on somebody's how to say, culture kind of history in a way, yeah. Because why should I do it? Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think that's really interesting because as the human race has evolved with winemaking, grape growing, we of course have highlighted major grape varieties, major international grape varieties, and of course we want to try and grow them anywhere, and because we know there's a natural market for those, but it's actually not a natural product really. If you are going to grow something like Chardonnay in Carinthia, or if you're going to grow something like Cabernet Sauvignon in the south of England, it's not a natural way of things. They are much more aligned to other areas. So we should align what should be the natural grapes, and if it's through breeding and through the sort of genius nature of humans, then so be it. But we should really be matching those, and I love that. I love that you're talking here that you're in love with Muscaris. On a personal note, I think my favorite muscats, and sorry to link them, but of course there's the heritage there, but my favorite muscats are always skin contact. I feel that they have more, for all that aromatic, they have more density behind them. And I love you've mentioned that. But then also you've talked a lot about there, Christian, about natural winemaking. So it seems to me from your little discussion there is that they're very much with PIWIs are quite naturally aligned, excuse the pun, to natural winemaking. Is it just because of the sustainability edge? And you mentioned a little bit about the natural high tannins, so you don't need sulfur. Are there any other key points that would naturally align them to natural winemaking, natural wine styles?
I mean, there's definitely the work in the vineyard with them. You only have this kind of I mean, I have a vineyard where I have sheep and our chickens, where I did last year only plant management protection once, just before the bud break. Yeah, once. Yeah, and this.
Right.
This
Wow.
Muscaris was quite fine with it. I mean, I did have the problem later on that we had hail and things like that. So this is another question. But yeah, I think that this makes it a little bit more a natural process. Although I have to say, if you are a natural winemaker really per se, then obviously the vineyard maybe doesn't need to be sprayed at all. But this is a problem because even with the PIWIs, you have this resistant break possibility, and all the researchers, and I've just been to this IPM to this Great Breed IPM meeting in Rosedo, where scientists from all over were talking about that we need to be careful about resistance break. And I think it's necessary to have them also in your plant protection kind of plan in a way. The problem is,
Christian, could you just explain a little bit more about resistance break?
yeah, it's this, the thing what I realized, for example, with I have this Cabernet Jura, which is quite problematic in terms of black rot. And somehow I have it now in hand in a way, but next to it is Cabernet Cortis, for example, which is a Freiburg variety. And Cabernet Cortis had never a problem with black rot, and all of a sudden, sort of, it's developing last year. Yeah,
And I mentioned I've had this discussion with a few people, Christian. Sorry to interrupt, but they mentioned that this break is sometimes at around sort of 5 years. Is that true, or is it different per variety?
Yeah, it's probably different by variety, but interesting with the Cabernet Cortis, I've got another winemaker. He's sort of in the south east of Carinthia, and I think they were the first using PIWIs in Carinthia anyway. And he's Cabernet Cortis, and he told me that after 10 years he had the same problem, and I had last year was 9 years. So yeah, 8 to 10 years. It can be that there is a kind of more of a problem. And of course, it is like, because the fungus, the fungal organism is moving around and can take
Evolving.
other bits, yeah, and develop into other kind of what do you call it? I don't know exactly how that's called in English, but that's a problem. Really, it can be a problem. Yeah. Yes.
Interesting. Okay, great. Thank you. So that would probably be considered a disadvantage of the future for PVs. That something a lot of people are discussing is, of course, just the advantages, your sustainability, this resistance, less soil compaction, lower costs, lower machinery use, and so on. I've talked a lot about that with a number of producers across the continent, across Europe. So I've got a lot of information around there. But do you feel there's any other disadvantages? We've talked about maybe a little bit around marketing. We've talked a bit there about resistance break. Are there any other viticultural, winemaking, or maybe marketing disadvantages of PVs that you have come up against, both as a producer but also as the chief executive of PIWI International?
I think the disadvantages are not really the kind of reason why you don't use PVs in the future. I think it's more the research in PVs is quite a strong one at the moment. And with this EU project I was talking to you about, I mean, we have now with the marker system, yeah, so many more possibilities to actually see what's happening in specific varieties. And we have now the newer PVs, they have 3 to 4 resistant lotes, for example, and some others have maybe only 2 or only 1. But the big thing is actually that what we don't have is we don't have any kind of how to say, the PVs are the PVs, only maybe about 20 years in kind of production, and we don't have the kind of selection of the better ones of the PV variety. Yeah, like with Chardonnay or with others, you have selection and the selection to come up with probably one which is the better one or the better tasting one, whatever. So this is something we don't have yet. And the other thing with the PV disadvantage is maybe the people might think, well, I wait another 2 years or 5 years, because then we have maybe resistant grapes which have 5 resistant lotes and or 10 or whatever. So this is one thing which makes it a little bit difficult in terms of your decision to plant specific varieties. And there is another big one, is especially in Germany or in the German speaking area, is the names of PVs. Yeah, I mean, you have, for example, Corona, which I now will have next from this year on, and this is the name is horrible, but the wine is brilliant.